Okay, fellas, let's start at the beginning.
Now hear this. Now hear this.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Now hear this.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Today is Friday.
Do any of you people do any actual work?
I don't work Friday.
It's Friday.
Work. Wait for no one.
The show's about to start.
Thank God it's Friday.
Let's start the show.
It's showtime.
Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Well, how about that? The latest drama from BYU. Why don't we start right there with the story of the day? Kalani Sitake no longer reports to the athletic director. He now reports to the vice president. So, that round to Kalani Sitake, but I got to admit, I wonder what comes next. Does this sound like the kind of arrangement that's going to last in the long run? Or is this like a stepping stone for now, and then what comes next? How much of what Kalani wants is Kalani getting? And then when he gets it, assuming he does, what are the expectations? Does this put a lot of pressure on him? I would think it would. He would probably tell you there's always pressure on a coach. So what's new? If you're going to have the pressure, you might as well have the resources. And there's a certain logic to that. I just don't feel like this is the end of the drama. But it does feel like, okay, this is where we are for this season, and let's see how this season goes, and let's see how things stack up when we get to the end of the season. Is there another adjustment, and what might that be? So we'll talk about this as the morning goes along. I'm sure PK has his theories, and we'll get to those coming up. A lot of you have been commenting online and got like 50 comments on our Facebook page. You can jump on there. We will get to that coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. In addition to that, we're actually going to have games. We got week 0 tomorrow, but we've actually got several of the Big Sky teams. Actually, I think all of our local Big Sky teams are jumping into action tonight. Weber State starts tonight against Northern Colorado. Football is back. Eric Kerr, what's he going to do? He's got to build it up. He's got the transfer portal. Certainly things have changed from when Jay Hill took over. Jay needed a little time to get it going, but the second year was better than the first. The third year was banging the center, and by the end of year 3, he was off and running. I mean, he was flying by then. So see how that plays out. I got to admit, I am really intrigued to see how this happens. I'm so happy that they gave Eric Kerr a shot. Offensively, he is just so different and so cutting edge. There was so much winning at the high school level. He's so wired into the high school scene. There's a lot of players here, and not nearly as many guys getting recruited now because coaches want transfers. They don't really want freshmen. Somebody else take the freshmen. Will that somebody else be Weber State? So I am really intrigued to see how this plays out. Can Weber State football do what UVU basketball has done? Okay, we'll take the young guys and we'll build them into something and we'll win. And some of them will move on, and that's great. But maybe because they win in the meantime, they get a higher caliber of player. So we'll see how that plays out. Idaho and Cal Poly are also playing tonight, and then there's a bunch more games involving Big Sky teams tomorrow. Or Saturday, tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that, and there's some other games. Hawaii's playing Stanford. I'm intrigued by Memphis and UNLV. That's two potential, we'll see how it plays out, two potential group of 5 teams for a playoff berth. So plenty of football to watch and to mull over and see how that all works out. I'm intrigued for the teams at the other end of the state. Southern Utah's going to Montana on Saturday, and Montana State's at Utah Tech. So those games look hard. Montana's favored by 16 and Montana State by 31.5. And after Utah Tech plays Montana State, they're going to play BYU, and then they're going to play Montana. Not hard to see Utah Tech starting in an 0-3 hole and then trying to dig out of it. Not hard to see that at all. So, all right, for a little more football now, let's shift to the University of Utah. They had their assistants talking this week, and I'm intrigued by what some of them have to say, including Mark Atuaia and Sharrieff Shah. We're going to have that coming up for you later this hour. We got Barry Tramel coming up next. Stick around. He's on the way. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ PK, and it's time to welcome Barry Tramel back to the show. Barry, good morning.
Well, how you guys doing?
We are doing well. How are you? Sound relaxed and calm. You've had a good summer. The football, well, the storm, you'll be all amped up and wired in no time, won't you?
Yeah, although that's interesting. You called me. I forgot what you said. Calm and whatever you just said.
Yeah, you sound. Yeah, you sound
Relaxed.
Relax. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I ought to be. I'm in British Columbia, so
nice.
I'm up in Victoria, so got another day here, and then headed back to the furnace of Oklahoma, and my granddaughter I think they moved her ball game to after dark the other night. She's a softball player in high school, and it's so hot. It's going to be like 102 at first pitch or something, and so they moved it to 8 p.m. so that it would be 98 at first pitch. So that was, but yeah, we're playing ball, and we got ball games Saturday, and then everybody gets ground up the next 4 or 5 days after that. So I'm fired up for it. I'm fired up.
Softball season is in the fall there?
Yeah, we're so screwed up. I can't even describe it. We play fast pitch in the fall, and then we play slow pitch in the spring. You guys have not lived to enjoy the human drama of athletic competition until you've seen really good fast pitch girls play slow pitch.
Why do they do that?
It's like, they do it begrudgingly. It's all political for a lot of stupid reasons, but they just has to do with boys baseball. The schools that don't play football in Oklahoma get to play baseball in the spring and the fall. So they're trying to semi-make it equitable, but it's maddening. It's maddening, no doubt about it.
I think that would completely mess up your swing, but that's a whole nother segment. That's a whole nother segment.
Let me tell you what the fast pitch pitchers don't do in the spring. They don't pitch.
Oh yeah, it's a totally different skill set. Yeah.
Well, yeah, one's made for athletes and the other's made for 42-year-olds that want to drink beer as soon as the game's over.
You're talking to two veterans of slow pitch hanging on to the glory days softball. Finally had to retire.
Yeah, I played high school baseball, played 1 year out of high school, then played high-level softball, and then just went down the list. And as I got older, I ended up playing co-ed softball, and then called it a career.
Well, there you go. I snapped my right leg, Joe Theismann style, playing church league softball back in 1995. I was literally going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame inductions the next day, and the guy slid into me, and I jumped, and he still broke my leg, sent it sideways, and I'm laying on the medics got out there, the ambulance, and the gal's tending to me and says, "Now you've broken your leg," which I wanted to say, "Yeah, no kidding." But she's trying to tend to me, and my wife's trying to come for me, and I told my wife, I said, "You got to call the office and tell them I can't go to Canton."
Well, we have multiple Big 12 football stories to talk to you about, and let's start with the one that's as fresh as today's headlines. TCU revoking a credential. And I'm hoping I don't know all of this story. I'm hoping there's more layers to this, because otherwise this is just so messed up.
Yeah.
A player gets in trouble. Something happens in the locker room. There's a police report on it. The writer writes about it and doesn't name the kid, but the kid subsequently names his kid, and then the writer names the kid. I'm trying to figure out why the writer needs to have his credential pulled. First off, I don't know any reason he needs to have it pulled, but certainly under that circumstance, it seems bizarre and outrageous. That's going to happen 100 times across the country, and only one guy's going to get his credential pulled.
Yeah, couple things. I don't know that TCU athletic director very well. I just met him this year. I think he's been on the job a year or two, if I remember right. But something that's odd is Mark Cohen was a longtime SID, the media guy running TCU communications. He just up and got fired a year or so ago. And I've been suspect about what's going on in Fort Worth ever since. I read that whole story. I didn't know about it till yesterday afternoon. And it sounded to me like they're trying to use this to get some sort of concessions from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, because it said they revoked his credentials until they can meet and come to some kind the I don't know. That made me think they're just trying to exert a little bit of pressure on the Star-Telegram. I don't think this is like a permanent thing, but I want to get back to the States and find out more, because it's people can shoot themselves in their leg a lot, and that's what TCU's doing here. This is not the old days where just even TCU's enhanced status, the number of people covering TCU football is not all that great. It looks like maybe they're trying to maybe carve out a bigger niche for their own in-house media. And I just think that's a terrible PR. I don't know if they got a communications department or a major at TCU. I don't know what they got going, but this is not a good look, and it's not going to end well. They need to back off this pretty quick. The bigger problem is why they got one teammate knocking the snot out of the other one. That's what I want to know. That's what needs to be investigated. So I don't know. I like old Sonny, and I pull for TCU, but that was odd. I didn't like that a bit.
Yeah, it seems a little bit of desperation when it doesn't need to be, and bringing attention that's going to be unwarranted and unwanted as you get ready for the season. And the beat writer, he was going to come on, but his editors told him, no, you need to back off. And he was going to come on from Ireland because they play.
They got a ball game.
Yeah. And and I picked TCU as my sleeper team, not really a sleeper, but I picked them because everyone's going with Texas Tech, and who else is going to be in the final? Is it going to be BYU? Is it going to be Utah? Maybe Houston? But I thought from that perspective, well, just watch out for TCU. I've been a Sonny Dykes fan. Obviously, he coached at Cal when Utah was in the Pac-12, so I'd been up there and been in his office and talked to him and all, and he was always so easy to get along with. That coming out of TCU, knowing Sonny was there, it didn't seem like that was the kind of guy that Sonny would get caught up in that stuff.
Yeah, he's one of the more accommodating coaches in America with the media.
Yes, no question.
A lot of guys just don't even have to call him; just show up and walk into his office and ask the secretary if Sonny's around. It's like it's 1957 or something. Yeah. So that is out of character. I don't know what's going on there. TCU is not my sleeper team because they've had a pretty easy schedule, particularly last season. They got a tough one in the Big 12 this year. I mean, they got the Cougars and Tech and Utah, Kansas State, Arizona. They play almost all the good teams. So I think it's unlikely that they would do that. But they do have a fun team. The last 2 years they've won 9 games, both years I think. So they're winning a lot of ball games, and they clearly have a good program. So this is they've built themselves into a nice reputation, a nice name. This is not what you want to see, but again, I'm more interested in going back to the core of this. Literally, what's going on where you got civil war in your locker room. That's the question, not how the quarterback from Harvard's going to fare or how bad are you going to beat Bill Belichick. I just want to know. I hadn't heard of this in forever. In the old days, this happened a lot. And at Oklahoma, Switzer's reign ended because of all kinds of guys getting in trouble, including one shooting a teammate.
Remember it, yeah.
That was the craziest story. One Oklahoma Sooner shot another Oklahoma Sooner in the stomach in the football dorm, And that happened before our producer, Alex Annapolis, was born, and Alex just raised his eyebrows like, what happened? And like, yes, Alex, that happened. And America either laughed or shuddered or both. Like, what is Barry?
And, well, it was actually, it was over something that we can all get fired up about, and that was a haircut. So, just somebody lost their head and did it. And now you got nobody shot anybody in Fort Worth, but it looks like somebody got the tar beat out of them. So I don't know, but bad look for TCU, no doubt about it.
How about Oklahoma State, man? They're getting a ton of run. Obviously, a complete and total overhaul. It was shocking, the decline, and some people think that they could end up being ranked this year with the quarterback and all the players that they brought over from North Texas. What are you seeing there?
Well, three things. One is they have brought in 87 new players. They have 7 people left anywhere that touches the football program or that were here last year in terms of staff or support personnel. They got to wait. They got one of the conditioning guys. They got the PR guy is back. They got 7 of those people. Everybody else is new, 49, 58, whatever it is, staff members. This is like an expansion team. It's literally like an expansion team. So who knows? But here, 2 things to remember. One is there's every reason to believe they're going to be good on offense. They've been not good on offense for the last 3 years. And Drew Mestemaker apparently is the real deal at quarterback. All kinds of pro people, all kinds of college coaches say he's the real deal. What they did at North Texas with that offense can be replicated, I think, at the power conference level. But you got to worry about the defense because they weren't that great on defense at North Texas. The last 3 years, North Texas has been against the run, has been near the bottom. I mean, they're in the 116, 131, 120-something range. If you can't stop Temple and East Carolina from running the ball, I don't know what you're going to do against the Big 12. So I think OSU's chance at a Indiana-type turnaround, I think, is not very likely because of that. However, they do play an easy schedule. They play a pretty easy schedule. They got a bunch of games. Even if OSU's mediocre, they got a bunch of toss-up games until November. So, I think they're going to be a lot better record-wise and have to be better field-wise. But I would tap the brakes on their ceiling. I just think defensively, there's no reason to think they're going to be that good.
How are they as far as PR and energy and getting the boosters all fired up again? Basically, are they good enough that the money's flowing again?
Yeah, I think so. They've spent quite a bit of money. They're spending $3.5 million on Mestemaker, and the other guys from North Texas, the playmakers and stuff. They didn't come cheap either because all kinds of people wanted them. And Eric Morris did a great job. He did a wonderful job getting people to buy in and say, "Hey, come with me from Denton. We'll stick together. We'll do great things." So I think they got some pretty high-end talent at below market value just because of the familiarity aspect of it. And in Stillwater and around the state, people are very excited, but a lot of them are still wait and see. I found it fascinating. They open at Tulsa, which is 60 miles east of Stillwater, and that's an old rivalry that died for a couple decades, 3 decades. It's been back. They've just started during the year 3 of an 8-game series. And Tulsa has a beautiful stadium, but only seats 30,000. And it's a Tulsa home game, but OSU's got tens of thousands of alums in Tulsa, plus Stillwater's 60 miles away. And 2 or 3 weeks ago, there still was tickets remaining. So I think it's a sellout now. But that struck me as odd that the excitement level was not higher than it was. I think there's still a bit of a wait and see. You know, you go winless in the Big 12 2 straight years, and people get shell-shocked. You know, one time you think, oh, what's going on? 2 times you think, maybe we just are never going to be good at football again. So, you know, we'll find out week 2. Oregon comes to town. And last year, the Cowboys played them tough and got beat 69-3. So, you know, cut that in half and get beat 35-3. It's like
progress.
A parade.
No, you'd have to score 6. So 2 field goals.
Oh, 69-6.
You got to double. No, you got to double. You cut it in half defensively, but double your offensive production.
That's exactly right. 35-6, or even score a touchdown and miss the extra point would be fun. So, but we'll see. I don't know, but it's been a dark time in Stillwater, and there's light. The sun is shining through.
That's the second week of the season, and I talked to you down at Star in Frisco, Texas for Big 12 Media Days, and I believe you're going to be in Ann Arbor, Michigan for that day because Oklahoma goes to Michigan, right? That game is on the road, if I remember correctly.
You guys don't have any interest in that game, I don't think, do you?
Huge, obviously, since half the staff is there. BYU or Utah's bitter. I don't know if you saw that they were paying Kyle Whittingham $13.5 million to go away, in addition to his $8 million that he gets at Michigan, and so just that alone, and let's just say when he comes back to Utah and I go golfing with him, he's paying with all that money, and but they're suing his brother Freddie. I
saw that.
Yeah, so I mean, there's still so much connection there, and Kyle obviously was a legend there. And Michigan has a real difficult schedule this year, and we'll find out about them. I forget who they play in the first game, but it's a cream puff. The second game is huge. Tell us about the Sooners. The one thing that this doesn't relate to this team, but I don't know if you know, they got 2 commitments out of Utah kids to come play for the Sooners next season. So that was interesting. But what are you expecting out of them?
Yeah, well, I think Oklahoma's really good. I think they're going to be better this year than they were last year. Schedule's really tough, so they may not win 10 games again. But like they had Michigan last year, but it was in Norman. This year they go to Michigan. They still got a loaded SEC schedule, more loaded than most. Just dumb luck. That's not conspiracy, I don't think. Just dumb luck. But so they could be really good and reel off a 9-3. But man, they're going to be good on defense, and they got their quarterback returning. And they played a bunch of freshman offensive linemen who are going to grow up. And they fortified the wide receiver position in the portal, which I've always said that's the best place to go get the quarterback and receivers. You got to have a quarterback, so go get one no matter what. But offensive linemen in the portal, that's dicey because those guys got to play together and work together. Wide receivers, they're just golfers out there playing. They're solo artists. They don't need to work with anybody. Just go out there and get it done. So if you got to hit the portal, that's the best place to go. So I think they're going to be really good, and the defense is loaded. A lot of starters back. They're really too deep last year. Their depth is not quite as bad, but as good. But I think that'll be a toss-up game at Michigan. If Michigan is as good as most people think they are, and they might be. Kyle's got him a veteran quarterback in Underwood who's a ballyhooed, but he sure didn't look good as a freshman, and most true freshmen don't. So we'll see how Bryce Underwood does in year 2. But I guess it's good for the Utes that Underwood was there. Else Devin Dampier.
Probably, yeah. Maybe so.
So I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see. They got the Carr kid, the younger brother of the Notre Dame quarterback, who had a good spring game for what that's worth. So that'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see as what's going on with Jason Beck and his offense, and he's a BYU guy, and Kalani has some friction there with the athletic administration. I'm sure you heard about that. And if he has another big season, does he leave? And would a guy like Jason Beck want the BYU job? So all sorts of connections that are going to run throughout, and speculation and whatnot. And that's what we, in talk radio, feast on. That's for sure.
Yeah, we don't really seem to mind this. Not heartbroken.
No, I don't. What's going on with Kalani? Just when America discovers that he's like the best coach you can have to get along with and produce and all the things, and then all of a sudden he's volatile. 2 straight years, you got to worry about if you're going to keep your coach. With a perfect fit, it doesn't fit as perfect as we thought. So what's going on there? I don't understand.
Money. There it is.
Well,
resources for the program. And the basketball is getting a lot, and how much are they getting? And football, and all these staffs are growing, and everybody's adding people, and everybody needs money to add people, and you need money to add players, you need money to retain players. And, the whole thing about going to Penn State, and they were very open about this. Kalani was really open about it at a press conference. It was tempting. It was an awesome offer, and he got to look under the hood and see what a power program in the Big Ten has for resources. And schools here, Utah played Penn State and Ohio State in Rose Bowl and lost them both. Now, they could beat USC and Oregon. They couldn't beat Penn State and Ohio State. And I think when you get that kind of job offer and you really find out what other people have, then you're like, well, I'd like to stay here because all the roots and the family and, you grew up here and you played at the school the whole bit. But, man, we got to have those resources. So I think that's where the rubber starts to meet the road.
So it's the same. So it's the same issue as last December. They really hadn't come to an agreement on that at Provo.
Well, they feel like Kalani and his people feel like there were some promises made, and I think you got some personalities in there. I think that there was a meeting with Jay Hill, and Jay Hill, who's now the DC at the Michigan, did great work here with Weber State and defensive coordinator at BYU, that they were quick. There was somebody or some people in the athletic department who were quick to say, go ahead, Kalani, here, I'll open a door for you because we'll hire Jay Hill. And then you start to get that involved there, and you get personalities involved.
Feelings.
And there's some
respect.
There's some tension there. And you can go so far as the football coach was told that they would get rid of the athletic director, and that got out and made a message board to the point where the communications guy, not the sports information folks, but the university communication guys, put a thing out on the message board that says, no, Brian is staying. They addressed it on the message board, which, we've been around a long time, and message boards haven't. And we usually use message boards as just for rumors and fun and frustration, and it's a bunch of anonymous people. We've all been blasted on there at times. Several years ago, when my father had a heart attack living in Phoenix, and so I went to be with him bedside, and they put on the message board that when Croton got fired and Mendenhall was hired, I wasn't there that whole week. And they put on the message board, it's because I had been suspended. Just make up crap. And I'm sitting bedside as my father is fighting for his life. He ended up living another 10 years. And I'm getting multiple phone calls from Tom Homo checking in to see, because he heard where's PK, because I was working for the Tribune at the time and doing sports radio. I did both for 5 years before I quit the paper and came over and just did the radio. And Tom Homo, the athletic director, who was calling me to just check on my dad. So message boards can be cesspools, and they could be for fun. And the communications guy went on the message board and said, no, Brian Santiago is not being fired. So it was a crazy couple of weeks. And now Kalani has said, well, the season starts. I'm not going to be worried about that anymore. So that's sort of where we are.
Well, that's too bad. People look upon BYU, at least I do, maybe I hope a lot of others, is sort of an oasis, the place that's sort of the way things ought to be in terms of commitment to a place and each other and all those things. But like I said, the day I was glancing at got on the laptop and saw Penn State's about to hire Kalani Sitake. I thought, well, the world is ended. If that happens, we can't fix it. And then we did avoid it, and lo and behold, they stole Matt Campbell instead. So two of my favorite coaches. I don't know. I need to think about who was third on Penn State's list. I got to think of who's among my top 5 coaches, but those two are. So, well, I hope the Cougars get it figured out, and I hope they make the playoff.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Because I think they got a shot.
Barry, we will let you go back to the cool, mild temperatures of Victoria, British Columbia, and then you can go bake in Oklahoma later, and we'll talk to you again.
Well, pray for me. We're taking a seaplane tour today.
Oh, nice.
And it doesn't make any sense technologically in my mind. A plane taking off and landing on water seems like sinkage would happen immediately, but
Nope.
we're going to put it to the test.
Have a good time. We'll hear all about it next time we give you a call.
All right, see you guys.
All right, thank you, Barry.
All right, there's Barry Tramel. We'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to hear from the U coaches, the running back coach, Mark Atuaia, and Sharrieff Shah. Wow. I mean, he is really tight. He's tight with Kyle Whittingham. He's really tight with Morgan Scalley. His perspective on where the program is now, he's always got something to say, too. Sharrieff is a great interview, has been for a long time. We'll hear from him coming up as well. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. All right, you fans, time to get an update on your team, now less than a week away from their opener. Let's start running backs coach Mark Atuaia meeting with the media. Here's Mark.
How have you seen Halu come along so far? Do you anticipate him having a big role in this offense with a loaded backfield?
He'll have a role, definitely. But Halu is he's come on a lot in the last couple of weeks. He's already huge in what we do on special teams, and then now being able to assert himself into what we're doing on offense, it really does help our room, especially with the physicality part, and he catches pretty well for a guy that's just transitioning over from the defensive side. So, yeah, good for him. He's worked his way into helping us out.
Kind of building off that, we know what Wayshawn is as a receiver, but what have you seen from the rest of the guys in the room with the added emphasis on running backs catching the ball this season?
Yeah, we pretty much know what they can do, when they come here, just from the recruiting process. When you watch them in different aspects of the ordeal. But for the room, all of them are doing well in that category, and just being able to sort of highlight their other skills, in the passing game. I think that's coming along well, and we'll see it all manifest here shortly.
Kind of going back to Halu, just what has kind of allowed him to rise among the ranks of the running backs that you've had? He's gotten a lot of praise from Morgan Scalley this fall camp.
What has allowed him to do that?
Or just what has been kind of the driving force of it?
Well, his physicality. He's a bigger guy, and from my resume, I've been able to work with a lot of bigger backs early in my career, and he fits that mold. He's a strong kid that. The part that we had to work on with him was obviously working with the ball. All the stuff without the ball, man, he's phenomenal in that regard.
Steve Chavez Soto had success at San Jose State. You said that he was still needing to improve in certain areas, I think in spring. Where has he grown since that time, and where does he kind of fall in the pecking order?
Mindset, man. He's within the same time that Mateaki has been ascending, so is Steve, in that regard that you just mentioned. He's he's done a phenomenal job in taking coaching, and then with the different aspects that we ask him to do in the offense, particularly in playing without the ball, like blocking and being physical and, just understanding how it is to block in the perimeter as it is, blocking in the box. He's been doing a really good job at that. And the more he buys into that mindset, he's gonna continue to rise, and I see a good future for him.
Coach, from where this group began at fall camp to where it is now, where do you feel like this group has grown and improved the most?
The most, well, all of us. I think we've all done a great job in acclimating, again, to what Kevin McGivern wants us to do in the offense. And, with all the strengths that they have and, kind of piecemealing that into what McGivern wants us to do. We've done a pretty good job of that during fall camp. And, again, there's only 5 skilled guys that can play on the field at a time. Being able to, insert ourselves into those positions and seeing where we can help out the team, I think that's the biggest thing that we've done this fall in discovering what those things are and then honing in on those skills.
We know Daniel Bray had a really big spring. Has he been able to continue that throughout fall camp, and how are you feeling about his game heading into the season? Yeah,
Daniel, again, in all seriousness, he's been a continual bright spot for me and especially for our team. And I just can't wait to see it all unfold in front of the nation and just have it continue throughout the year.
There's Utah running backs coach Mark Atuaia. Now, from the defensive side of the ball, here is Sharrieff Shah. He's been working with the secondary forever and really intrigued by his take on where this team sits now, less than a week from the opener.
How nice has it been to be able to have that versatility? I know, once again, you're never satisfied, but never. How much easier does that make your job when you can mix and match a lot of these players and what you need to do?
It just gives you opportunities to get players on the field. And some guys who say, Coach, I can add value at the nickel, at the safety, at the corner. So when you're able to speak multiple languages in the backfield, you're able to stay on the field a lot longer. So it gives us opportunities to play younger players who've demonstrated, Coach, I've earned the opportunity to play. I know my playbook. I've made plays when given the opportunity. So can I see some real action? Absolutely. That's what the versatility does for you. And for me, and I have a few guys like, for example, Rock Caldwell, who has been in the safety room. He sat with me as a nickel. I recruited him as a corner, and he's done all 3. So it's just, man, it's a long season. And invariably, you would say, God forbid we get injuries, but they will come. And you just want to have people who have been in the fire, and the bullets alive, won't cower, won't, have any issue but stand up and say, Coach, call whatever defense you want. I'm familiar with it. I know the technique, and I'll make the play. So that's what it gives you a little bit of comfort.
Sharrieff, I'm curious your thoughts on Dylan Waters and Major Hinchin. Obviously, 2 freshmen who came in back in the spring. Just how have you seen them grow from when they stepped on campus until now?
Man, it's been amazing for these 2 young players. Not only have they gotten stronger, bigger, but Dylan, coming from a really good program out in Texas, that he has shown so many plays. He's made so many plays, just showing an ability to be smart, savvy. Not the biggest kid, but where he may lack strength, he makes up with just an absolute aptitude to figure out, I think this is happening based on the split. Coach, we talked about it in film room. I have an anticipation that this route combination's coming. He has done a fantastic job. Major was coming off of an injury, so he didn't see a ton of time in the spring. Now, he's starting to develop. Major grew up as a boxer. I mean, he has incredible hands. I like boxers, having boxed. My dad was a boxer. So there's some things that you do as a boxer and as a corner, you love hand fighting and the ability to throw a hand and maintain your balance. So Major has made huge strides. Dylan, the same. I'm looking for them to give me some value and some special teams as well, and that still remains to be seen. But I love the progress that both of those young men have made.
Sharrieff, Morgan's talked a lot about just welcoming former players back to the program and why that's such an integral piece to just the operation here. I'm also curious on just your thoughts with the Utah Players Association, which is trying to provide health care to former players.
Right.
Just what, given all of those things, how are you as a coach trying to welcome former players back, and what are your thoughts of the Players Association that they're kind of forming?
I love it. I mean, you want to know that your contribution, whenever you made it, whether it was a year ago, 5 years ago, 15 or 25 years ago, mattered. And if it's the legacy and foundation with which the program was built on, you also want to know that you're still welcome. And so Coach Galley has done a phenomenal job of just welcoming not just our players, but their families, everybody, as well as our Players Association. You know, whether it's Stevenson, Sylvester, and the number of guys who have now formed to come together and create that particular unit. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's necessary. People are suffering. They have nowhere to go and they don't know who to turn. Sometimes it's nice to know that I can turn to a former player, somebody who won't judge me when I'm in just the roughest part of my life, but will give me a hand. And that's what I see our association doing, as well as Coach Scally. Coach Scally continues to reach out not just to players that played 10 years ago. He's going back so far, as many as possible. For example, I was at a cafe on Sunday. Frank Henry owns this cafe. He's a former player. He played in 1978. And I just went to the cafe because he owned it. And I wanted him to know that, brother, I see you and I want to support you. I want my players to know that we have a Utah guy, one of our former players, that's making some pretty good soul food, and it was delicious, by the way. But it's things like that that we haven't always done. So many guys that need help, businesses, whether it's they have programs to offer, players' kids, it's just helping and knowing that if I say that I can offer a service, it won't fall on deaf ears. And that coaches will come out and support. They will encourage their players to come out and support. Those are the things that are different right now and that you like to see continue.
As a quarterbacks coach, what's it been like watching some of these receivers go up against your guys every day in practice, and how have they made your players get better?
Man, listen, if Braden Pagan does what he's been doing to us, which I believe he will, it not only frustrates you, but you recognize that, all right, if we get a 50-50 ball from him, we've done good. We've done good. He makes, and not just Pagan, but those receivers, and sometimes you can get in their head a little bit, but not now. They know our tricks, they know what we're gonna do, and they still come with such a commitment to get better, and it makes us better. It does, to have the fight to get those contested balls, what everybody considers to be a 50-50 ball. Man, we've had our fair share, but they have had their fair share. It's funny, Devin Dampier will always talk and go after each other. And he said, Coach, today, when they had one of their better days, he's like, Coach, usually it's 50-50. Today it felt like 60-40, maybe 70-30 offense. I was like, you're right, son, you're right. Today, then we reload and go back after it. Iron sharpens iron, to put it frankly. And for the first time in a long time, we've had so many good receivers to help our corners at all positions. Sometimes we're like, no, I want to go. I hear my corners are clamoring to go for one guy or two guys. Now everybody lines up and says, well, we all better have good technique. We all better be in a position to defend properly because all of the receivers pose a very real problem. That's how it's helped us.
That was one from JT. Coach, how are you feeling about the state of special teams overall, particularly the kicking game?
better than I did 3 weeks ago. I did better than I did 3 weeks ago. I love Coach Scally because he continues to put our boys in tough spots. He wants them to know, look, not only will 60,000 people be watching you, but tons of people around the country, sometimes in different parts of the world, will be watching, and everybody has a voice to criticize, to provide an opinion. Doesn't matter. Kick the ball and know that regardless of the result, we love you. And that sort of confidence early on hadn't been established all the time. And so to have it, whether it's going live on Instagram or having all of the players jump around and scream, or Coach Scally sprint right in front of the ball before it's kicked, all of these things provide the kickers, the long snappers, the holders, an ability to have confidence when things are just chaotic. It will not be like that. We all recognize the game will not look like that, but if you can kick and make it under those circumstances, when people are spraying water on you, yelling your name, you develop a hardened exterior. You're able to recognize that I'm really okay. It also allows you to develop a better pre-snap, pre-kick routine. It's one thing to kick the ball, but it's another thing to make certain that my pre-snap routine is absolutely rock solid. A lot of quality kickers, snappers, holders, punters have such just an unflappable pre-kick routine that already gives the result a winning edge because they don't allow the outside noise to interfere. So that's what people don't know. We need to give them more outside noise, and when the result wasn't what they expected, we love you anyway. We believe in you anyway. So go again. Coach, under the same conditions, no, even worse, go again. Go again. So I'm very pleased. I'm pleased with our returners. I think that some folks on the back end, like Larry Simmons, Ricky Johnson, I'm talking about kickoff returners. Daniel Bray is probably the person that we'll rely on initially. He's done a fantastic job. And then punt returners, Mana Carvalho stands to be probably one of the top in the conference. So we have to just do our job at blocking. Creed Whittemore also provides us additional depth at the punt returner spot. So I'm happy. Just never satisfied, but happy. I feel a little bit better. I'm glad we got 10 and 11, I don't know how many days. We're not playing tomorrow, so thank you, God. So more work to do.
All right, there's Sharrieff Shah. When we come back, what is trending? Headlines are next.